Yes, please do.
Good afternoon.
Good
afternoon, ma'am.
Please take your seat.
Thank you, sir.
You're Kanchan.
Yes, sir.
Kanchan, I want you to introduce yourself to the board members.
Sir, I am from Haryana. I have done my early education from Haryana only. After that, I came to Delhi for my graduation, law graduation. I did it from National University, Delhi. Last time, this is my second attempt at the UPSC. Last time I cleared the exam and I got in the Indian Railway Personal Service.
You've given IRPS.
Yes, sir.
Your training had started or not?
Sir, it had started, but I came back on leave. So.
Okay. So you're already an IRPS officer.
Yes, sir.
Kanchan, you studied law, and law is your optional paper.
Yes, sir.
So you're the best person to answer me. Our preamble of our constitution talks about fraternity, brotherhood. You have worked for the diversity thing. Do you believe the use of word fraternity is anti-women?
So I don't think so. Here the fraternity has to be seen in the larger context where we are talking about having
the basic argument remains the same, that he be considered including she.
So I think that argument would always remain. I mean, if we are using she, then this argument will be in that she is including.
Do you remember any constitution which is linguistically gender neutral in the world? There are some.
So I think South Africa constitution uses
which method they adopted to make it gender neutral? They used he or she?
Sir, I'm not very sure, but I think I read somewhere that they're using words like person or person and member like this, and not using the words related to gender.
So the citizens of South Africa are fortunate in the sense that they got their constitution. They have a newer constitution rather in comparison to countries like ours. So do you believe that it's time to have a gender audit of the language of the constitution and other legal documents, or you believe another couple of decades we can wait?
So I think with respect to constitution, one can argue that there might be some problem with the gender, I think, but we have to see the larger spirit of the constitution, which does not differentiate between men and women and gives equality to everyone irrespective of their gender. So I think
can you mention a few the few articles which mentions women as category?
So there is Article 15, which gives the special provisions.
Fine, you can keep skipping with.
So apart from that, I think there are some articles in Directive Principle of State Policy where again the Constitution asks the state to make special provision for them. So apart from that, I'm not able to recollect any article which specifically talks of the word women.
Article 243 for that matter?
So I'm not able to recollect. I will go back and read about it.
No problem. Kanchan, you are an IRPS officer, and there was this talk of integrating the railway services.
Yes, sir.
Since you are into the service, tell me, by this integration, which services are likely to be benefited out of these services which are already there in railway, and which services you believe will suffer because of this integration? General understanding. So
with the railway merger, there have been concerns specifically with respect to services in the general category, like the traffic, personal and account services, where the employees of those services have concerned that their service conditions may be affected with the merger, especially with regard to their promotion and all. But I think these concerns can be taken care of, and the larger thing that we have to take into account while we are considering railway merger is the benefit which is happening to the railways organization as a whole and the society and the economy of our country. So if there are concerns of I personally don't think that the services would be affected much, because the railways and the ministry will take care of any issues that arise. But I think the larger thing that we have to see is the purpose for which the merger is being done.
So you are in railway?
Yes.
So starting from the basic questions, how many gauges nowadays in what railway?
Sorry, sir.
How many gauge
Sir, there are three gauges. The broad gauge.
There are
the,
4 gauges. The fourth one is a standard gauge, and that has been introduced in Delhi itself, and that is what 5-year-old. What is the length of a standard gauge?
Sir, I'm actually I was not aware for that, so I thank you for the information. Standard
So
gauge. but-
narrow gauge having 2 distance, two width. What are the width of a narrow gauge?
Sir, I don't. Sir, I think the narrow gauge is 3 feet and 3 feet something.
0.6, 0.7 meter.
Yes.
One is 0.6, second is 0.7. Okay. Look,
Thank you, sir.
another very important thing is what you know about Fairy Queen.
So I think Fairy Queen is a special heritage train of the Indian Railways.
Is it train, Fairy Queen, or railway engine?
Sir, I'm not sure. I will go back and read on.
Okay. Look, we have connectivity of railway to Pakistan, right?
Yes, sir.
One is through Atari, right, border, and the second is what Kokrapar, Munabao. Where it is Kokrapar or Munabao?
So I'm not aware of that.
What is the frequency of Samjhauta Express to Delhi to Lahore? Once in a week, twice in a week, or regular?
Sir, again, I'm sorry, I'm not aware of that.
You don't know. Okay. Look, why there is always narrow gauge in high mountains areas, right? And there are generally broad gauge we have in what plain areas and plateau areas. What are the actually scientific reason behind that?
So I think it's difficult to lay down the railway tracks in mountainous areas because the mountain cutting and all these procedures are difficult. So I think that may be the reason that we have narrow gauges in mountainous areas, whereas in plains it's easy to lay the railway tracks. So,
Either broad gauge railway having a better center of gravity, or what narrow gauge train having better center of gravity.
Sir, I'm not aware of the technical details regarding that. So.
Okay, look, what is the prospect of development of railways in Ladakh region?
I'm sorry, sir.
Prospect of railway, development of railway in Ladakh region, because now Ladakh is what, Union Territory?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
So I'm. If I could clarify, are you asking about the new projects that are?
No. Future prospect. Is there actually any chance of development of railway in what Ladakh region or not?
Sir, I think there are good chances because also railways.
On what ground? On what ground?
Sir, with new bridges coming up, so the railway is building new bridge over Chenab River. So with connectivity increasing to Srinagar, and then we can increase.
I'm talking about Ladakh region, not Jammu Kashmir.
Yes, sir. So when we can from there we can go, we can increase our connectivity to the Ladakh station also, Ladakh area also.
What is the connectivity point of Konkan Railway?
Sir, I'm not.
Okay, thank you.
Kanchan, what is the origin of the word Mrs.? From where does this word comes from? Mrs.
Sir, I'm not sure. Sir, I think if I'm allowed to guess, sir, I think it's French, but I'm not sure.
Okay. See, already you are selected in Central Service. Why do you want to become an IAS officer?
Sir, right now I'm in Indian Railway Personal Service, which I think is a really good service. But my first choice is administration, which I think, which I prefer more is the kind of work that I'll be working, I'll be doing there. So the service, the Railway Personal Service will be working in one particular domain. Whereas the higher services like the IAS will allow me to work in various diverse areas. So I think the diversity of job and the various opportunities available there. These are the reasons that I'm trying to aspire. That I'm writing this exam again and trying for those services.
Okay, Kanchan, which female historical personality influence you a lot? And how that female personality can make you a good administrator? Best one that you like?
So from the administration or?
No, general historical personality. Like we have Razia Sultan, Rani Lakshmi Bai.
Yes, sir.
Kadambari Ganguly.
So I think Razia Sultan, I think is someone I think I would influence me because she came as a ruler in very difficult times when it was not acceptable for the society to have a women ruler. And she established law and order in her kingdom, she was able to withstand the pressure from her nobles also. So I think there the Razia Sultan, I think,
But
would
what administrative change Razia did? I mean, how can it influence you?
Sir, I'm not aware of the particular changes that she brought about, but I think the courage that she had and the willpower that she had is certainly which is very aspiring for everyone, especially women.
Okay, why Tipu Sultan was in news? Why Tipu Sultan is so controversial character? Do you think that he was a nationalist?
Sir, Tipu Sultan was in news because there were some issues regarding the celebration of his anniversary in the Karnataka issue, where there were concerns that his anniversary should not be celebrated because he had committed atrocities against the minorities. However, there are also the other parties which say that he was a nationalist because he very bravely fought against the Britishers and refused to surrender before them.
Do you think that he was anti-Hindu?
Sir, I don't. No, sir, I don't think so. He was an anti-Hindu.
Okay. My last question, Kanchan, is that what is the difference between Mansabdari system and Iqtidari system?
Sir, Iqtidari system was prevalent during the Delhi Sultanate rule, where
who introduced Iqtidari?
Sir, I think it was the Sultan Iltutmish who introduced the Iqtidari system
For the first time?
Sir, in India, I think yes.
Sure about it?
Sir, I think.
Okay, just tell me the difference.
Sir, it was prevalent during the Delhi Sultanate time, where the person was in charge of the so the land was divided into various iqtas, and the person in charge of the land was called Iqtidar. He used to handle the revenue as well as the law and order issues in their respective iqtas. Whereas Mansabdari system was introduced during the Mughal time, in which there were separate ranks given to every Mansabdar. The rank and the horse, the rank and the cavalry that he has to maintain. The essential, the unique point of Mansabdari system over the Iqtidari, I think, was that there was differentiation of the revenue and the law and order functions.
What is Do Aspa Se Aspa system, which was introduced by Jahangir? What
Yes,
is
sir.
this?
Sir, there were changes within the Mansabdari system, where the rank of the Mansabdar was kept the same, but however the cavalry that he had to maintain was increased.
Why it was increased?
So with the growing number of Mansabdar, but the land being the same or being limited, so the expenditure on the salaries of the Mansabdars was increasing. So it was in order to address the concerns, especially related to the revenue purposes, that these systems were introduced where the Mansabdars were required to take care of more cavalry.
Do you think Mansabdari was hereditary in character or not?
No, sir. I think it was open to everyone. It was
hereditary or not?
Sir, later in some cases, it may have been hereditary, but the system by and large was initially was open to all. But with passing time, in many cases, it became hereditary.
Okay, thank you, Kanchan.
Kanchan, you come from field of law.
Yes.
Can you tell me why public interest litigation, which was introduced as an idea to help public, has slowly converted to private interest litigation?
Ma'am, the public interest litigation was brought to help those people who could not access the courts on their own. So, but however, with time, we saw some cases in which people started filing the cases in order to fulfill their own interest. So therefore, there have been some concerns that it is becoming a private interest litigation. But
so should we do away with it, because it hardly addresses any public interest issues? In fact, it's burdening the courts, which are already so burdened.
No, ma'am, I don't think so. We should do away with that, because the essential condition of public interest litigation is that no private interest should be involved. So the court makes sure that if the applicant who is coming to before the court is filing the case for his own personal interest, then that petition should not be heard as the PIL. I think when these concerns are rising up regarding the misuse of PIL, there is need to bring about the procedural changes so that the PIL is used only for those purposes for which it was introduced.
Does locus standi apply to PIL?
No, ma'am.
So, even if court finds out that it's actually a private interest litigation and there is no locus standi also, so how do you think the court would be in a position to differentiate and say that no, this won't be treated as PIL?
Ma'am, when the PIL is filed, the applicant who is filing that, he has to prove the societal interest that is involved in that particular litigation. So if the court comes to the conclusion that no societal interest is being served, then PIL is rejected and he is asked, then the person has to follow the normal court procedure.
Okay. Recently, there has been lots of talk about Disha Act. Can you tell me what is important in Disha Act?
Ma'am, Disha Act has been passed by the State Assembly of the Andhra Pradesh, where after the incident of gang rape and murder of a girl in the Andhra Pradesh. So the act which was in news because it sets the limit on the investigation and the trial of the sexual offences, particularly rape. I think the whole procedure has to be completed within 21 days. So that is the act was passed to speed up the cases, particularly.
Do you really
offences.
think this act will actually deliver justice? Because a period of 21 days, do you think it's sufficient to actually investigate all the loops and knickknacks of the case and deliver? And it also has provision of capital punishment. Don't you think there might be chances, because in its haste to deliver justice or complete the entire procedure, there might be innocents who would be trapped because of the provisions of the act, and then there is no going back?
Yes, ma'am, I do feel that the time limit set in the act, 21 days, is too less for the investigation to be covered, especially in very complex cases such as sexual offences. Also, when the infrastructure of the police and judiciary is not well maintained in our states, so putting this very strict limit of 21 days may actually go counterproductive, in which the police might try to frame persons in which the innocent may go behind the bars, or maybe because of this haste they are not able to procure the sufficient evidences against the real perpetrator, and I think that would be more injustice to that victim whose real perpetrator, whose real accused or the perpetrators of crime are go scot free. So I think one, the time limit should be relaxed; it should not be that strict, and also along with putting the time limits regarding these offences, we also need to strengthen our police and judiciary infrastructure.
You come from Haryana, and it's usually seen that women from Haryana are doing very well in sports.
Yes,
and that's the only field that is so highlighted. And sports also which actually include the use of muscle more than anything else. Why is it that women are choosing such sports, and why only sports women are being highlighted from Haryana?
Ma'am, with respect to why women are choosing sports, I think in Haryana the sports culture is by and large very popular. So the culture of having a strong physique and also the high contribution to the army, which in turn supports the sports culture in Haryana, and the kind of recognition and also the state support that the Haryana is giving to those to those sports persons are the reasons that women are going for sports in large numbers.
Do you think such push to sports because of certain success stories would actually harm the cause of female literacy or education in any way? Because Haryana's female literacy is already, it is very poor.
No, ma'am, I think when a person, yes, I see that there are some concerns that maybe some girls directly go into the sports and do not do their basic schooling. So I think there the states need to ensure that their basic schooling, the minimum education qualifications are not hampered due to the sports due to the sports that they are choosing. So I think there the state needs to make it and needs to ensure that it's not affected.
Okay. My last question to you, you're interested in Gidda dancing.
Yes, ma'am.
Why Gidda is primarily a woman folk dance? Why it doesn't involve many men in it?
Ma'am, actually, it came as Bhangra is generally associated with men, and Gidda then generally came to be associated with women. So,
But Bhangra does have
yes,
women
ma'am.
in
Nowadays,
it.
the women are performing Bhangra with the same energy and with the same energy, and
They're
doing the
even
same
doing the
steps.
acrobatics.
Yes, ma'am. So I think it just came up as two dance forms, but I don't think so right now there are any such restriction, and also there are some giddas like Malwai giddas which are done by the males and not by the females. So there are a lot of varieties even in this folk dance where males also perform it and females also.
Okay, thank you.
Kanchan,
Yes, sir.
why this Rakhi Gadi in Haryana is in news recently?
Sir, Rakhi Gadi is the Indus Valley Civilization site which is found in Haryana. And right now it is in news because in the budget 2021, the government has proposed to set up a museum there in the Rakhi Gadi to also to have more research on the remains that we have found, and also to promote the tourism aspect of the Rakhi Gadi site.
Okay, how many cities of India are included in World Heritage City?
So I'm not sure.
Recently, Jaipur has been included.
Yes, sir.
So just tell me that what is the significance of including these cities into World Heritage City?
So one, it is the recognition of the great culture, the heritage that those cities carry with themselves, and also then with the inclusion in these in the World Heritage list, it becomes more important. There is a responsibility on the government of those cities those cities to maintain their culture and also the monuments. I think the help is all
What do you think that which city, Delhi or Jaipur, which has more cultural significance?
So I think both of them has lot of cultural significance. So I don't know which has more, but they both of them have their own cultural significance.
Okay. Which country recently withdraws from the UNESCO?
Sir, the United States.
And what's the reason behind this?
Sir, I think it was with respect. Also, one was the reason with respect to the funding and also that Palestine, the UNESCO has recognized Palestine as the non-state observer in that group. So it was more of the USA's own foreign policy interest, where the Israel had also withdrawn from the UNESCO earlier. So it was in line with its USA's foreign policy of supporting Israel and Israel's cause. So, I think in that respect, USA also withdrew from UNESCO.
Okay, you mentioned foreign policy. Just tell me that how do you see that India's foreign policy in the matter of you can say that conflict between US and Iran?
I'm sorry, sir. Could you repeat the question?
Can you specify India's foreign policy, the role of Indian foreign policy in the matter of Iran and US trade war? Sorry.
Sir, right now India is following a very balanced approach of not directly supporting anyone, because India has its interest in both in Iran as well as USA. So it is trying to maintain a middle path by engaging with both the countries and trying to play a role so that both the countries come to a negotiating table and the tensions between them subside, so that India can engage with Iran more. Because we have interest in Iran with respect to energy needs, and also Chahabar port and the connectivity to further Central Asia.
Can India, or I think should India take such a role in the development of SAARC?
So the mediating role.
Yes.
So we are cooperating with the other countries of the SAARC. We also try to cooperate with Pakistan also many a times. The South Asia satellite that we launched, even Pakistan was invited for that. But however, if Pakistan is not ready to cooperate, and also is also not deviating from its terror policy, so we cannot do much about that. We cannot make them do that. So India is cooperating with other SAARC countries and at all other levels, be it disaster management or the South Asia satellite, the educational programs, etc. So,
okay, Kanchan, my last question to you, that which countries are common in BIMSTEC or SAARC?
Sir, Nepal, Bhutan, so Bangladesh. So I think these countries are.
Sri Lanka is a part of not?
So Sri Lanka is part of
BIMSTEC
BIMSTEC.
or
Yes.
SARC?
Okay, no problem. So, okay, Kanchan.
Yes, sir.
Kanchan, recently this hashtag #MeToo was in news a few years back.
Yes, sir.
As a law student, do you believe that it was a exercise? It wasn't a fruitful exercise, considering that not many complainants, the victims actually came out to formally complain against the person they mentioned in hashtag #MeToo.
So I think this movement can be seen from two perspectives. One, if we see, if we are seeing only from the legal perspective that whether all those women came ahead and filed the complaints, then maybe yes, all those women could not file the complaints. There were also reasons that many of those issues were very old, and the evidence, etc., would have been very difficult to find that. So if we are seeing purely and technically from this point of view, then one might say that. But however, this movement was very fruitful in terms of encouraging the women to come up and share their incidents and the crimes that have happened with them. So I think from a larger point of view, where this movement encouraged and empowered the women to come forward and take stand against the discrimination which is happening against them. So I think in that context, the movement
But at
was.
the end of the day, if you look, for example, if you look at the recent case in the Supreme Court, where even when the women come out against the powerful, they end up not getting justice. We know what happened. The earlier the person against whom this complaint was there sat on the judgment and gave himself clean chit, and later it turned out that women was given a clean chit. So do you remember the case in the Supreme Court?
Yes, sir.
So what's your take? I mean, as a woman, is it really advisable? It has remained advisable to be actually coming out and fight when even the highest seat of justice is not delivering justice?
Sir, again, there are two fronts where we have to fight. One is at the social level, and the second is at the legal level. So this movement, I think, is a good start where the women have been coming up on the social front and have been fighting the social stigma attached to these against disclosure of these systems against such incidents. So also, yes, regarding the legal fronts also, we need to strengthen our judiciary as well as police infrastructure and try to train the police and the personnel there or in better way, so that the women who are coming up with these incidents are able to secure justice also at the legal level.
Okay, you like cycling?
Yes, sir.
If your life so far is a cycle journey, what or who is the pedal?
Sorry, sir.
If your life so far is a cycle journey, then who would you consider, who or what would you consider the pedal of this cycle journey?
So
you're not comprehending the metaphor? If the life so far
yes,
is
sir,
a cycle journey,
yes, sir, the pedal by which
what would you consider is the pedal of this thing?
So I think it's my hard work and dedication that I have displayed in various fields in which I have worked are the pedals of my life.
If that is the case, life is a cycle journey, pedal you or your hard work is the pedal, then what is the brake?
Sometimes the difficulties which arise maybe in terms of maybe the lack of knowledge of some particular field or the starting inhibition of doing something new. Maybe those may be the brakes, but I think my strength and my pedals are stronger than those brakes, and I would overcome all.
If you continue it, then what is the handle? What is giving direction to your life?
So I think my own conscience and also the support of my family is the handle.
Fine, Kanchan. It was nice talking to you. You can leave now.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am.
So, yes, Kanchan. What is your assessment? How was the interview? Where you still believe that you can work a bit?
So I think railways is a big area I need to work upon. All the technical things that So actually, I joined the railways and I came back after 2 days only. So I didn't get the opportunity to work in railways that much. So I need to work a lot on the railways.
Fine. I mean, do mention that you have not yet joined properly.
Okay, sir.
That will be in your interest. But in any case, you must read the new things. Kanchan, you are a very good candidate. You are already in service. You have faced the music already. You know what it would be like, right? The only difference from the last time and this time might be that you have this additional thing that you are in service, but it goes to your advantage rather than being
Yes, sir.
anything wrong. So it's very likely that board members will be interested in having conversation with you, and that's a good thing. That's a bad thing. Good thing in the sense that obviously you will be getting their attention, and hence you have every opportunity to improve. A bad thing in the sense that if the board members are interested in you from the word go, then the subsequent board members 2, 3, 4, they are ready with their questions, and that creates problem in the sense because when they are ready with question, they also are ready with their expected answer, and you have to then match this expectation, which is not always possible because of obviously not that just because you don't know the question and don't know the answer, but also because you may not have those answers in the very same words as they are expecting.
Yes, sir.
And then with a candidate like you, they'll be more disappointed if you're not delivering that way. But as far as this interview is concerned, I'm very happy that on the most questions you actually had some clue, and you were on the right side of the question. I mean, the stance you were taking were definitely the positive stance. Apart from the factual questions, on most analytical questions, you were delivering right. Coming to the communication, there are few things you can work on. Your sitting posture is good, your voice level is good, hand movement is by and large restricted, eye contact is also good, flow is good, but I have a problem about the positioning of the hand like this. We generally advise it to be like this. It's better because clasping the hand like this suggests as if there is some element of nervousness, and placing it like is better, generally better, right? Similarly, you sit like this cross-legged. It may or may not be visible there, but even if it is not visible, it appears from the other side of the table that you're cross-legged. Cross-legged is not a very healthy body language, right?
Yes, sir.
So you can work on that. On coming to the content, to the delivery of the answers, one is that you have tendency of giving long answers. We generally suggest that for a smart candidate like you, you should be in position the moment you listen to the question, should be in position to bifurcate or trifurcate your answers in point 1, 2, and 3, and then deliver it in the reducing order of significance. The most important point, then the second point. So the point-wise answer will help you here.
Yes, sir.
Because sometimes your answers are getting too long because of a long preface, right? Though this is a really smart move, that whenever a board member asks a thing and you have a varying opinion, you actually start with a concurring in a sense that yes, it is a view, but, which is a fine. Even if it is a little longer answer, it works, right?
Yes.
At the same time, you have long answers thing, you have a good flow, but then still you have somewhere long pauses, which is usually not seen with the same candidate. In your case, there are places where your pauses are longer than they should be. Okay, you can work on it. To look at the video very carefully, both with voice and muted, you'll be able to understand what I am referring to.
So during the answer?
Just before the answer, sometimes during the answer, but usually just before answer. Okay, you can work on that. If you believe that you need to improve, do it, otherwise it's okay. Everything else is okay. In the last question, you were late to get the question, but it was well answered. It was well answered in the sense that these questions are generally to look at not only the creativity but also the kind of locus you're having. In your case also, this was a problem that myself was a little bit too much. We generally ask this question to see whether you are able to see beyond your life when are you able to see the top view of your life or not. Most of the time, a person is normally so focused with the self that in such question they center themselves in the whole thing. Best is when you can shift the center from self to other, in some cases. Not always. I mean, it has to be at least 2/3 self, but at least 1/3 outside self. You getting what I'm saying?
So
For example, on all the metaphors, that was I. Okay? My, I, my. At least one of it should have been beyond I. That would have been better. But then it was very good otherwise. So that's it, Kanchan. I'm sure you'll be doing really, really well. All the best.
thank you. So one question was with respect to the personality question that you asked, because I hadn't thought of as such. I mean, the question that you asked, which
The administrative contribution of Razia Sultan was as such, there was no administrative.
Yes.
Yes, but the answer was okay.
See, ideally you should take a women historical leader, maybe from India, from outside. Why don't you just choose a few and then work on them?
Sarojini Naidu is a good figure.
Yes, sir. And sir, with respect to railways, apart from the questions that were asked, I will work on that. So any other things that I should work on?
See, railways is a very vast area, very vast area. We do usually have a panel member is from railways, and that's why I know right from the technology, bullet train, privatization, technical aspects, new trains, problems with the environment versus railways and things like that. So there's several issues on railways. It makes sense to talk to some friend of yours in the service and focus on the service thing.
So one question that only with respect to bullet train, I'm not able to. If you could help me, how should I respond to the question regarding to
See,
bullet train?
normally the question is it justified to spend that kind of money?
Yes,
and
sir.
second is the conflict with the environment.
Yes,
On
sir.
both issues, then it becomes development versus status quo, and in my opinion, you should go with the bullet train project. Okay, because you can, at most what you can do is you can delay it. In
Yes,
any
sir.
case, it has to come.
has to
If
come.
it has to come, then we should start the thing. Maybe we can decide whether it is where we have to continue or not, with what pace, but to begin with, it should.
And so one question. So for example, when you asked to give me introduction, so should I mention there that I have come back on the leave, like I haven't had the opportunity to come?
आप सिर्फ ये बता दीजिए कि मैं ज्वाइन कर लिया, मतलब दिस सर्विस इज ग्रांटेड टू मी, दैट्स इट. ठीक है ना? उसके बाद वो पूछें कितनी ट्रेनिंग हो गई है, तब यू कैन
Then
मेंशन.
only I tell that I've.
ठीक है. ऑल द बेस्ट.
Thank you so much. Thank you, ma'am.